We're only a single race into the 2023 IndyCar season, but it seems like the silly season pot is starting to bubble, and it looks like the first driver to get splashed is Jack Harvey. On Monday, March 20th, it was announced that reigning Indy Lights champion Linus Lundqvist would test for Rahal Letterman Lanigan on April 3rd, the day after the second race of the season in Texas. Along with this news, Bobby Rahal said during an interview with Swedish TV station SVT that he and the team will, quote, see what we can do to run him in a couple races this year. Now, I don't think there's a way to sugarcoat this, so I'll go out and say it. It looks like the writing's on the wall for Jack Harvey. So what's the situation? What can happen? And what do I think the plan is moving forward? Well, here's a video to fill you in on the situation and answer some of those questions. So here's the situation from the start. On October 11th, 2021, it was announced that Jack Harvey would drive for Rahal in the number 45 Hy-Vee car. The ensuing year would be pretty atrocious, as Harvey only had one top 10 and finished lower in the point standings than he did back in 2019 when he raced part-time for Meyer Shank. Harvey's 2022 season was bad enough that it's currently on my list of future season review videos to make. For 2023, Harvey was moved to the number 30, with Christian Lundgaard moving to the 45. Jack was on thin ice entering the year, and I think that ice is starting to break. Harvey would be hospitalized after this crash in St. Pete, and as soon as that night, there were questions about how this injury could affect him. He'd miss out on the test in Barber earlier this month, getting replaced by former Red Bull Junior Yuri Vips. But Harvey is set to race in Texas, where he crashed and injured himself last year too. So it's fair to say that the situation revolving around Harvey lacks any form of stability, and unfortunately for Jack, the recent news surrounding Lundqvist might be a brick through the thin ice he's sitting on. I've already made a video about Lundqvist, and despite it being a half a year old, it's still pretty accurate. Linus is a very talented driver and deserves a shot in an IndyCar, and from the looks of it, that shot will come with Rahal. So what's gonna happen moving forward? Barring a total disaster from him in the coming weeks, Harvey's 2023 plans aren't at risk. Mid-season firings are somewhat rare in IndyCar, with the last I believe being Zach Veach in 2020. So unless something major happens, Harvey will be in the number 30 car for the rest of the year. As for Lundqvist, I expect a 3 to 5 race schedule, with a nice mix of road courses and ovals. Now I should make clear that I have no information backing that statement up. That just seems like the most realistic and likely amount of races if Linus joins the team. For all we know, it could just be a one-off start, but I think my idea is more likely. Those 3 to 5 races are going to be important, because if Linus thrives while Harvey struggles, that'll likely be game set match for Harvey's time at Rahal. Jack Harvey will be under an immense amount of pressure this year, because if he gets dropped by Rahal, he doesn't have many options as to where he could end up in 2024. Some will immediately point to his former home of Meyer Shank, but options may be limited there. Elio Castroneves could be on his way out, and if he does leave, the apparent replacement is Shank's protege, Tom Blomqvist. If you follow the IMSA WeatherTech sports car series, you know that Blomqvist has been tearing it up in Shank's Acura prototype program. Honda really wants him in an IndyCar, which all but slams the door shut for Harvey to return to his former team. I'll probably make a completely different video in the future on where Harvey can land if he gets fired by Rahal, because there's still a lot of dominoes left to fall before we get a clear picture of the future. Both Harvey and Lundqvist are very good drivers. Both of them are fairly young, being only 6 years apart, and they both have their pros and cons. It'll be a tough decision, but one of them is going to get the boot. As of me making this video, we don't have a lot of information to break down, so it's really just speculation at this point. There's a lot to consider if you're Rahal, so here's what I want you to do. Put yourself in Bobby Rahal's shoes and comment which driver you'd go with down below. I love when we get discussions in the comments, and I think y'all will have a lot to say. Expect an update to this video in a couple months, because I think this situation is going to develop into far more than just a test. Thank you for watching, and have a great afternoon.